And I went to a Hillsong conference.
Never heard of them.
And I'm just like, man, they're so free. They're having so much fun. And the Holy Spirit said, why aren't you? And he said, you're not having fun because you're not being who I told you to be.
You're Steve Urkel meets Stefan.
Wait.
You're highly intelligent, but you package it with swag.
Probably only in the last 4 years, I've accepted the fact that I'm a creative.
Well, I seen pictures with you when you first started pastoring.
Sorry, it was a rough start.
You used to dress like Steve Harvey.
The church was growing and I didn't like it. What happens when you're successful at something you're not called to do? People always say I'm lying or think I'm lying. My vision was to have a church of 1,000 people by the time I was 65. That was the biggest vision I had, biggest church I'd ever been a part of in my life. At 37, God has already 10x my wildest dream.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Cheat Codes. You've been hearing about it. It's just our way of helping young leaders and even older leaders to get a fresh perspective of life away from the pulpit. My brother, Stephen Chandler. First of all, speaking of pulpit, your church is out of this world.
Whose church? Forest City?
Union Church is out of this world.
Union Church is a move of God. I am overwhelmed. I am grateful.
Y'all are killing.
I am blown away at what's happening at Forest City.
You started a campus 90 minutes from me, and half of our church left and started going to Charlotte, to Union Charlotte.
Listen, that's because I sent a preaching machine down there. Good gracious.
Yo, man, everybody knows, I was about to say, for those who don't know, everybody knows the name Stephen Chandler and just what you represent. I want to give people kind of a sneak peek to some other aspects of you. What are you into other than preaching and reading?
Oh, what am I into other than preaching and reading? Hobbies, golf, travel. My wife travels. That's her hobby. I've got this wild passion I was born with of like just building wealth. Like I bought my first rental property when I was 22. Whoa. It was a disaster.
I was about to say, man, you
lost my drawers. Oh my Lord. My dad had to bail me out. That joint was a disaster.
But you had it in you though.
Oh yeah. Yep. Got out of that one and
well, okay, where did that come from?
Oh, I mean, my dad always was a pastor, but owned his own company on the side. So I just grew up watching my dad, have employees, run companies and contracts and all that other good stuff. And I think he just put that entrepreneurial spirit in us. So
I think something else that you're kind of known for, like you're Steve Urkel meets Stefan. That like you have like you're highly intelligent, but you package it with swag. Where does that come from? Like the Stefan fashion guy.
The Stefan fashion. You know what's funny? It was, oh my gosh, probably only in the last 4 years when I've accepted the fact that I'm a creative.
Well, I seen pictures with you when you first started pastoring.
And it was a rough start. It was a rough start. It was a rough. Dude, do you remember those big fat ties? Okay, so
you used to dress like Steve Harvey.
Worse, I had this massive tie, collared shirt, massive tie, and then somehow I put a polo shirt over all of it. So I've got this massive tie under a polo shirt looking like,
there you go.
Just came up north.
Yeah. I'm talking the old Steve Harvey, the big suits. When did that switch happen?
Oh, long before I started
I could wear jeans.
Oh, well, that was a big deal. So I launched the church in 2011. And true story is, took the church from my dad in 2010 and kind of really shut it down, changed the name, and relaunched his brand new church in 2011. And dude, I was pastor this church 4 years, just being something I wasn't. So I had a sports coat on, I had khaki pants, I did a little, boat shoes with no socks on.
If you dress like that, you're watching this. There's nothing wrong with you.
Nothing wrong with them, but that was not me. Caribbean heritage, born up in Baltimore.
There's absolutely something wrong with you. Stop wearing that stuff. Get with the times, baby.
But I mean, I pastored a church for 4 years, and what was wild is the church was growing, and I didn't like it. And I think that's one thing we don't talk about is what happens when you're successful at something you're not called to do.
Ooh.
And it's like, ugh. So, true story, you know, you just know when God is troubling you and all. And so I'm just kind of going through the season of just kind of wrestling. I went to a Hillsong conference. Hillsong came to
never heard of them.
Baltimore. Never heard of Hillsong.
Yeah,
I'm sure you did. Yeah. But I mean, they oceaning and the LED walls dropping from the ceiling. And, you know, all these people. And I'm just like, man, they're so free. They're having so much fun. And the Holy Spirit said, why aren't you?
Ooh.
And I said, because I'm a pastor, I'm not allowed to have fun. And he said, well, who told you that?
Ooh.
And he said, you're not having fun because you're not being who I told you to be.
Ooh. Now, let's deal with that, because you married a pretty girl like me from Africa. Was she having fun, or was she having to wear like fruit? Like
the big old church hat.
Like, what was happening there?
No, she gonna get me in trouble, man. That chick had a peplum top and big old skirt on. It looked like some.
So did she feel like she needed
church
to fit?
Mother.
She felt like she needed to fit that box.
Oh yeah, like I mean, if she was here, she would tell you that First Lady brusher was, I mean, suffocating.
Whoa.
And you know, if you're not careful, people will tell you who they want you to be. And you'll spend so much time, you know, we take that verse from Paul, you know, I become all things that I might win some.
Yeah.
And we use it to become something God's never called us to become.
Ooh.
And you're trying to keep this person happy, that person happy, and the whole time you're losing yourself.
Ooh.
And
now, would you guys dress like that at the house? Like, I mean, like, did it translate? Like,
on date
like,
night.
No, for real. Like, on your like leisure wear, like, were you still like being who you weren't even in that, or were you like?
No,
you was Steven, the athlete at the crib.
It was a completely different person.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because some people do that though.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, I feel like they still gotta be
sports coat on.
Yeah, I still gotta be this.
Yeah, no.
So you would put on.
I thought, and it wasn't even, I'm not trying to say I was being duplicit, because I was still preaching the way that I preach.
Sure.
But I just thought that was the pastor's uniform. And especially because I started when I was 23 years old.
Yeah.
So all they told me was, you know, older folks, married folks, they're not going to follow, I was single too. They're not going to follow a single guy who's 23 unless he looks like he's 52.
Yeah.
So I just put my, no offense if you're 52,
yeah,
but I put on my
true.
52-year-old uniform.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I got to be. And God was like, no, your sheep hear your voice. You be who I've called you to be, and I will send the people who are called to you. And yes, not everybody, you know, liked it.
Yeah.
But the people that were called to me. And it was in that season, obviously, what grew the church was I changed my clothes. No, it was a lot more than that. It was more of a heart thing.
Well, that helped.
But in that season, that church just took off.
You got married when you were like 17. Much younger than. What's that about? Because, like, you were super young, though. You already.
No, I was 26.
I mean, that's
Is
young.
that super young? I mean, that's young for 24 because he's joking.
Yeah.
Doggone
26
42
is young.
talking about almost ready to get married.
Yeah, 26 is young. And that decisive, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what was that about? Were you mature?
I was always, 16 years old, I decided I wanted to be a pastor and never changed my mind since 16. I've always just been, I know what I want, I'm going to get it.
Period.
It's been my dysfunction. I don't know. If you really want to talk dysfunction, I think I grew up with a lot of people who had a bunch of unfulfilled dreams. And all they talked about is what they wish their life looked like instead of what, and I mean, not trying to turn this into a deliverance session. It's probably not interval, but I was just like, no, I'm not going to be the guy that got a whole bunch of dreams that I wish was my reality.
Dang.
I said, no, it's going to be my reality. And I just noticed people who change their mind all the time don't ever get what they want.
What was the most difficult season, Pastor?
Oh, the last one?
All right, so let's talk about it. You got this crazy growth. You are, you know, you're Mr. Baltimore because you're in Baltimore. So you got this crazy momentum. Your name is blowing up. Social is blowing up. Your book is blowing up. Stop Waiting for Permission. Your family's expanding. Everything externally is like, oh, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Why is that a tough season? There are a lot of people in the church that are upset with God because they are shouting and praying and fasting on something he never promised. Fam, we got to grow up. I'm charismatic to my core. I preach less about miracles, more about management, less about stuff, more about strategy. We gotten a lot of people hyped up that don't even know how to handle what they're praying and praising for. I don't want to just shout about a harvest that I'm going to mismanage. You give me a financial harvest and I've wasted? What sense does that make? You could be known by God, that's great. You could be used by God, that's great. Fam, I want to be trusted. I want God to look and say, you know what, Travis? I trust you at the basement. I trust you at the potter's house. To be trusted by God is the highest compliment of heaven.
Agreed.
Grow me up, mature me, as my boy Rich says, so that I can handle what it is I'm believing God for. I wrote a book. It comes out May 14th.
Are you praying for the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Learning to ask what God wants for you, not just what you want.
What you've got to know is that whatever God blesses, the enemy always attacks. So when I see a friend appear, and their church is blowing up, their platform is blowing up, I'm praying for them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have no idea the warfare that they're going through. And like somebody asked me, with the church going the way it is and all, how do you stay humble? And I'm like, man, if you knew the battles I'm fighting and the war I'm going through,
you don't have time.
There's not a lot of time to be impressed with yourself. Because you're just trying not to drown.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, every major growth of the church has come with a major attack on my family. My mom passed away. Church launched in 2011. My mom passed away in 2013 after, 3 bouts of cancer. And it's just been attack after attack after attack. So I'm fighting for my life. I'm praying over my family, trying to keep them covered and, dealing with, thank God, a lot of the health crises have died down. But
how do you stay, Frederick preached a message recently, my joy is my job. How do you stay motivated and excited and passionate and optimistic?
So I learned this from my pastor, Pastor Chris Hodges. He built this massive church.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. And he sat down, all his spiritual sons, and he said, here's the one mistake I made. He said, I did not have enough fun along the way. And he said, I was so focused on what God had called me to do, I forgot to enjoy every single day. And he said that to me in 2013. So that was 2 years in. And I know I'm rambling.
No, this is great.
I launched a church in 2011, got married in 2013. And a lot of people were like, man, how was it pastoring single? And I wish I had been married, but I honestly say I'm glad I was not married those first 2 years because I was such a miserable person to be around. Like I was not taking a sabbatical. I was not resting. I'm working because forget God, I've got to make this work.
Oh, yeah.
And I think between getting married and him saying that in 2013 and really just enjoy every step of the journey.
Yeah.
And the reality is, when I started this church, my vision, and people always say I'm lying or think I'm lying, my vision was to have a church of 1,000 people by the time I was 65. That was the biggest vision I had because it would have been the biggest church in our denomination, biggest church I'd ever been a part of in my life. I couldn't see.
Really?
You're looking at me like you don't believe me.
No, I'm just trying to figure that out. I
grew up in a 50-member church my whole life.
Yeah, but we had TBN.
I mean,
yeah, something you could see.
I got to watch Travis on TBN, but watching TBN, real talk for me, was like watching NBA.
So
I can't dunk. I'm not 6'6".
Hollywood's not a.
Yeah, it wasn't real.
Okay.
I mean, those guys were, superheroes as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
It had nothing to do with my reality. And I say that to say, at 37, God has already 10x my wildest dreams.
Dang.
And to be miserable, to be disappointed with what hasn't happened this year or whatever is completely asinine, considering God's done so much more than I could ever ask, think, or imagine. So.
Yeah. So would you say there's some things to beware of when that happens? Because I don't know. My experience is a little different in that, God has done more than I've asked, but I wouldn't jump out there and just be like 10x because I had my vision was large.
Well, you were visionary.
Yeah, my vision was large from a little kid. I had a speech impediment. It was like, I'm gonna have more money than all y'all dummies. Like, all right, you can't say your S words. I was like, you gonna work for me.
Come on now.
I had that confidence early. But I do have friends who didn't see it coming. And I think there's a lot of, that's a whole nother battle when I didn't see it coming. So I don't feel like I was prepared mentally for it.
Yeah.
Can you speak into that a little bit? Or how did you catch up with the momentum that you weren't expecting?
Well, I think I was praying for the wrong thing. I think that's what happened. And then I read a book called Praying for the Wrong Thing, and it got me right on track. I'm sorry. No, anyway.
It has all the answers. You got the Bible.
Listen.
And you got, are you praying for the wrong thing? Yeah. All the answers you need right there.
That God set me straight.
That's
do you need to be set straight? Then you need to read. Are you, no.
How do you catch up with momentum? You know what I mean? Because I feel like for me, I was in motion already in life. My testimony is I had momentum, in school, popular, college, fraternity.
Okay.
So
what you're not going to do is call me a loser in front of all these people.
I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying.
That's what you just said.
No.
It's not wrong, but.
No, I'm saying I've always been
You've always been that guy. Yeah, you've always been that guy.
And so.
Just say it.
No.
You just did.
No, I've always had to rebuild. Rebuild. You don't go from my music career and just like a big church. That doesn't happen like that. I had to build, but I didn't feel like I had to catch up. Travis, like the church systems process. I'm not even talking about that stuff. I'm talking about Travis the man. I didn't feel like I had to catch up to the momentum that I didn't see coming. But I think there's a lot of guys with that story that I just didn't see it happening this fast. What do you do to catch up, maintain that speed, and not get ran over?
God always writes your story to prepare you for your destiny.
Yeah.
My dad pastored my entire life.
Yeah.
And it was painful from day one.
Yeah.
My mom got diagnosed with cancer when I was 16. My oldest sister had 3 brain surgeries. Youngest sister was in the hospital for 6 months. So I kind of got from young that ministry is a battle. Not that it's all bad, but you don't sign up for ministry to be famous, popular, and rich.
You're gonna fight.
You're gonna fight.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that shaped me. And then on the other side, my dad owned a company. So I saw not the employees conversation at the dinner table, the employer of, hey, I got to negotiate. Oh, we just lost this contract. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, we're moving to new territory and all that. So that problem solving side was always being adapted. And then one of the things I always say about Union Church is it was a overnight success 10 years in the making.
Got it.
I ain't new to this.
I got it.
This is year 13.
Yeah.
And for the first 8 years, that thing was growing by 50 people a year.
Yeah.
You can keep up with 50 people a year. That was not.
Yeah.
And then when it did pop and it just started doubling and all the pain of growth came, I expected it to be painful.
Yeah.
So I think sober judgment of what this is, that there's nobody who, you could tell this story, there's nobody who's successful that did not go through seasons of obscurity and seasons of being faithful at something that does not look like it's producing.
Right.
Everybody around you calling you dumb and you need to go and get a real job and all that other good stuff. That'll humble you. And then the big deal is just don't forget that when it blows up. Don't forget the days of sowing seeds when you're reaping harvest.
Whoa. I think people need to hear that, man.
I'm glad you called me a loser, though.
No, but there's a lot of people who think that it's overnight. That's the biggest insult to me. Man, this came from nowhere. I'd be like, man, fam.
I'll show you nowhere.
What, man? It's a lot that go into it. The character, you're a man of great character. You're a leader worth following. You have high integrity. You're one of my great friends. We're able to talk about stuff driving in our cars that we would never talk about from the stage, which is great. You need those confidants in your life. And so I count it as a privilege to walk with you. Let's talk a little bit about maintaining integrity. You're young, you're not ugly, you got success. I'm not saying you're me. I'm just saying you're not. If we're listing the attractive pastors, you're on
the list.
I don't know. We're probably going to start with. Let's do it. Number 1, Bishop T.D. Jackson. Number 2.
Oh,
I'm trying to find people to honor.
Yeah. Let me stay out of trouble. Bishop Dale Bronner.
Bishop Dale Bronner.
Let me not get in trouble.
That man got
That's a gorgeous man.
That man got the bread.
I love you, Bishop.
Tony Evans. We got to honor him.
Come on now.
But we're being funny, but the guys are naming, and we can name a few more. that have just longevity.
Yeah,
man.
finish.
Beautiful are the feet. You know what I mean? Like these guys got longevity, and I think you and I, you're still in your 30s. I just exited. I just crossed over.
I'm in the presence of my elders.
Yeah, man. I just crossed over. I'm changing my title. I'm upgrading my title this year.
It's about time.
No longer want to be called pastor. We'll figure out what that needs to be, but
His grace.
maybe. I'm still working on it. I'm figuring it out. Man, I want our brothers, man, to win. I want our sons to win.
Yeah.
Just practically, how do you maintain?
So I'll give you the cool preacher phrase, and then I'll give you my real thought.
Yeah.
The cool preacher phrase, and it's just a phrase God gave me probably about 2 or so years ago, and that is the Olympics does not give out gold medals for a fast start. They only give medals out for a strong finish.
Ooh, I like that.
The problem is the crowd screams for the fast start.
Whoa.
So you've got, it's what Paul said, keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah.
I'm not here for the crowd to scream. I'm here to get a gold medal. Well done, thy good and faithful servant.
Great.
So I've got to think about how am I going to finish?
Whoa.
And especially if you're talking about long distance marathon running.
Sure.
A lot of times people who start the fastest finish in the back of the pack.
Yeah.
Because they burnt out all their energies before they even got to the first mile or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So my obsession right now is finish. What do I got to do? How much do I have to rest? How much do I have to invest in my children and my marriage and all that other kind of stuff to be able to finish? So that's one thought. The other thing is, you ever been driving on a highway and there's mad traffic and like you got somewhere to go, you're just irritated, and then you finally get up.
I live in Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh, I'm sorry. There ain't no traffic.
Have you ever been driving in traffic? No, as a matter of fact.
I've never.
Only picking up my kid.
Well, up here in Baltimore.
Gotta wait. It's 30 cars in front of me picking up my kid. That's the most traffic I got.
Oh my God.
With this van move, that's the only traffic I got. Yeah.
Well, for those of us who live in cities with streetlights that have traffic, like when you finally get to the place where the traffic breaks, the most annoying thing is when there's like a car accident on the other side of the highway. It's already cleaned up, and it's only traffic because people are stopping and staring. It's just like, you want to lay hands on them. And that ain't holy hands. But anyway, you learn a lot from watching car accidents. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot of, hey, don't dip in and out of traffic. Don't look both ways before you go. And unfortunately, my first pastor coming up in ministry didn't finish.
Man.
And DQ'd, lost his church. And it was a car accident that marked me.
Wow.
And I said, it does not matter how fast you can drive if you can't keep the car on the road. So I learned from people's mistakes. I said, hey, I don't want to be the guy that has to look his daughter in the eye and tell her I broke your mom's heart.
What are some practical ways to keep yourself even?
Avoid Jezebel.
Yeah. How?
Jezzy.
How? Because she out there.
You know, can I keep it 100?
That's what cheat codes is about.
It's really great being a nerd in high school. I'm sure some of us were a lot cooler in high school, so you don't. I'm not saying I'm a social recluse. Yeah. But I've got my crew, I've got my friends, and that's who I travel with. And if I'm going anywhere, they're with me. Great. And I'm not trying to be no new friends. Great. Like I don't travel by myself. I don't got one-on-one lunches and dinners, and we know all the deals. I don't got female best friends. For sure. I think a lot of people, they just trust themselves too much. And they're just like, oh, I can handle it. And you can handle it on your best day and on your strongest day. But what about your weakest day and your most exhausted day? And we need to set up lives for our worst day, not our best day.
I'm having conversations with guys now. My story is very unique in that, I was always very smart. So I was a book nerd. But I was, I was in the in crowd. So like the homecoming king, that was also the smartest black guy in the classroom. That was my mix. But even with all of that, I wasn't super experienced before my wife. So you would think Mr. Popular is just, got a large body count. That wasn't my story. But I'm pastoring a lot of people. especially today.
Yeah.
That's their story. And so I'm empathetic to that, specifically speaking about dudes.
Yeah.
Like, man, I have some guys like, fam, you can't even fathom my history.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm like trying to now become this man of God, I am haunted by like all of this perversion that I've either inherited, been exposed to, or lived out BC. Like, what do you say to those guys?
Let me take a stab, and this may not be true for everybody, but folks that have sexual past that they regret, it didn't start there. There was some type of trauma, some type of chaos in the home that they grew up in, or the experience that they had, say 0 to 12. And the sexual pursuits was trying to medicate the unrest internally.
Whoa.
And what a lot of us do is I gotta deal with the lust, gotta deal with the sexual pursuit, gotta deal with that, and that's the fruit, it's not the root. It never dealt with the 6-year-old boy that had to be the man of the house, or the 7-year-old girl whose mom worked 3 jobs and was never home and didn't get the nurturing and all that other good stuff.
Whoa.
So we've got this sick soul that we've used, sexual immorality as medication.
Whoa.
And now that we're following God, we're like, we can't use that as a medication, but I still need medication. So if it's not sexual immorality, it's being competitive with another brother. So I gotta have a bigger church than you, I gotta be more popular than you, I gotta make more money than you, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. All ignoring, my soul is sick.
Yeah.
And I've gotta get my soul healthy. So yes, you can put in all the parameters, you can have accountability, you could not travel by yourself, you can be in love with your wife and all. But if you don't get your soul healthy, you are going to medicate, and we think, sexual immorality is the only sin. It is a big sin, and it's a big, trap.
For sure.
But there's 17 other ways.
Yeah, for sure.
We know people that, I'm fine with sexual immorality, that's not my struggle.
Yeah.
I spend every penny that comes in my house.
Yeah.
And I make a lot of money, and I'm broke.
Yeah.
And my credit score is trash.
Yeah.
That's a soul thing.
Man.
And we in the church can't just preach holiness, can't just preach, be accountable, make sure that somebody knows all your dirt. We gotta be able to heal people.
Yeah.
And we've gotta be able to help people get their soul.
Yeah.
Right.
If I'm young Stephen Chandler, I have all the potential in the world, but I'm called to preach and I'm in my early 20s and I'm given a responsibility, whether that's a church or a platform. Nowadays, you can have sheep without having a pulpit. So
Literally.
I got a platform, I'm leading people, I'm in demand. And man, this perversion thing is or maybe I'm in music, there's a ton of those who struggle over there too.
Yeah.
Both sides. Like, what are some practical, how do I get my soul healthy?
Yeah. I think the first thing is this: the enemy will first try to isolate you. And the way that he will isolate you is with shame and lies that you're the only person on planet Earth that has ever struggled, had perverse thoughts, whatever. He will try to tell you you're the only person. And then he will also try to put you around non-trustworthy people that if they find out, you'll never live it down and you're done for life.
Wow.
And so we'd say, accountability. Let me keep it 100. You cannot tell everybody.
For sure.
Because some people will use it as a stick to beat you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You've got to find a healthy place where you can say, hey, I'm not okay. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I love Jesus and I'm committed to living right. I just need somebody to walk with me.
Man.
Because you know about saying Ecclesiastes, woe to the man that's walking by himself. Because when he falls.
Yeah. When.
Not if.
Yeah, that's great.
When he falls. Here's what the enemy will say. When you fall, he said, you're already fallen. There's nothing left to salvage. So you keep it 100. Oftentimes it's not the first misstep.
Yeah.
It's the first misstep that convinces you that you are unredeemable.
Whoa.
And then you begin to live like, well, if I'm unredeemable, I might as well. And that's when you ruin That's when you ruin your future.
Yeah.
So find somebody that is trusted and say, hey, I give you permission to call me up, to ask me to help walk with me.
I love it.
So that'd be fun. And then 2 is you got to take care of your soul. And sometimes taking care of your soul is, I need to talk to a counselor.
Yeah.
I only recommend Christian counselors. Some of these heathens out here, they be, you know what you really need to do to smoke this bong? And you gonna be, okay, wait, hold on.
Right.
We ain't gonna do that.
Right.
Ain't gonna make it worse.
Right.
But you need to get around some.
Yourself a night out. You need a night out.
You just gotta let some stress out.
Let it out.
Listen, anyway.
All right, last cheat code, competition, right? I think just.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you're an athlete, so you're competitive by nature.
Hold on. Did y'all hear him say that?
You're an athlete.
I'm an athlete.
You're an athlete.
No, I ain't never
You're
played college, nothing.
A golfer, but you're an athlete, though.
Listen, when you hanging out with musicians, you're an athlete.
Yeah, you're an athlete. You're an athlete. So you have a competitive edge.
Yeah.
I'm super competitive. For those who are in leadership, in business, or even especially in ministry, how do we balance that competitive edge and still make sure that we're true to who we are in our assignment without staring across the street so much?
Pastor told me this. He said, brothers will always compete. He said, it's only bad when fathers compete with sons.
Woo!
You got 3 boys.
Whoa. Yeah.
Right? Aren't they always like, Daddy, look how strong I am.
Actually
I'm stronger.
make them better competing with each other.
It does, because people act like competition is horrible.
Yeah.
Competition is only horrible when you add insecurity and jealousy.
Whoa.
Make sense?
Yeah.
But without competition, I don't have sober judgment. So now I'm out here thinking I'm the stuff just because, you know.
You need to know someone's doing it better.
You need to know someone's doing better, and it's got to, and I ain't no punk.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to be in South Carolina tearing the roof off the place. And we're going to be up
showing
here.
Up like that, I'm about to get in the
Yeah. No, and I'm going to come, I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
I can cheer somebody on and not be jealous because I know they can't have what God's called for me.
But have you always been like that? Because most people aren't like that, and I don't think I've always been like that.
Yeah.
I hit that switch a few years ago.
Yeah.
But before that, I think I used to be a hater. Silent hater.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, man, I'm sick of Mike Todd. Everything he does is amazing.
Listen.
And then God delivered me from it. It's something I had to put on the altar.
I'm out in these streets like, what he do? How that work?
But, so you just had that confidence?
No, I'm my worst critic.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm my worst critic. So for me, what I had to get over was never I want what they have or I hate on them because they're good. What I had to get over is no matter what I do, I never thought I was good.
Yeah, and let me say, I would never tweet it or talk negative about somebody. This is the internal stuff. God is about the internal, right?
Yeah.
So I would say the right stuff and I would send the right text messages, but like my heart would be like, man, I'm sick of this. There ain't no space for me out here.
I ain't coming to another building dedication.
There's no space for me.
Yeah.
So,
I think you've got to do the hard work. And we've got to believe the Bible that we preach, that Jehovah Jireh is a provider.
Yeah.
And there is no way he is going to take what was supposed to be mine and give it to somebody else.
Work.
There is enough room for me to have all the influence in the world God's called me to have, and Travis or whoever else it may be to have all the influence in the world.
Great.
I've got to do that hard work because there are other people out there that are better than you in some area.
Always will be.
And if you are jealous of them, you'll never learn from them. If you can't learn from them, you will always diminish what you're able to accomplish and what you're able to do.
Beautiful.
So,
and I think if you're not careful, you'll try to not manipulate, but try to copy and paste. You know what I mean?
And lose who you are.
And lose who you are in the process of it, and lose your own identity.
I'm so glad God did not blow Union Church up until I figured out who I was.
Yeah.
Because it would have been influence that made me miserable.
Yeah.
Because I'd have been pastoring a church. We know pastors who pastor churches that if they were not the pastor of the church, they'd never attend church there.
Yeah,
that guy. You out starting trouble.
My brother, I love you, man. Thank you for this time, man. Hopefully, those of you watching picked up a couple cheat codes. Also, the book, Are You Praying for the Wrong Thing? Pre-sale. It's out, man. I'm excited about it.
Hey, order one for you, order one for your friend.
Yeah.
This will, this, you didn't ask me this. Hey, what would you say the number one thing that impacted my ministry was watching people that were ahead of me and learning from their mistakes, learning from their faith, and learning their victory. So I did not have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And most of them, I never got a conversation with.
That's great.
It was always reading a book, listening to a podcast, listening to them leak parts of their story and their message and applying it to my life. So that is the cheat code.
Great. I'm excited about this book. Excited about cheat codes. If you want more information, it's all below. Please subscribe, like, comment, and follow my brother at Stephen Chandler.
From Baltimore.
From Baltimore.
Come on
and
now.
support Union Church and all of its 15 locations. If you're anywhere near, pull up. It's a great church, great word, great
16.
worship, all the stuff.
Not that we're counting.
I mean, y'all, you guys, you're it. You're here, and everyone else is down here. Congratulations, you made it. Everybody's jealous of you now. Love y'all. We'll see you soon.
I love you, man.
My guy.